Hello everyone, today in this video I am going to deal with the ninth chapter of Beehive of class 9th. The title of the chapter is The Bond of Love, written by Kenneth Anderson. This chapter is about a sloth bear, and through this chapter the author gives us an account of the bond of love, affection which his wife shares with her pet bear. Now let's move to the text. I will begin with Bruno, my wife's pet sloth bear. I got him for her by accident 2 years ago. We were passing through the sugarcane fields near my shore. People were driving away the wild pigs from the fields by shooting at them. Some were shot and some escaped. We thought that everything was over when suddenly a black sloth bear came out panting in the hot sun. So in the first paragraph, the narrator has given us the name of that bear, that is Bruno. The name of the bear is Bruno. And he said that he got that Bruno, that sloth bear, by an accident. It was not a planned one. So now he says that 2 years ago he was passing through a sugarcane field near Mysore, and that sugarcane field was attacked by wild pigs, and the farmers were firing at those wild pigs in order to drive them away from the sugarcane field. So after a few minutes, after some time, they thought that everything was over, and then suddenly what happened when the farmers were driving the wild pigs from the sugarcane field. So after some time, what happened? A black sloth bear came panting in front of the author. Here the word panting is being given. It means to breathe heavily. Now I will not shoot a sloth bear wantonly, but unfortunately for the poor beast, one of my good reasoned companions did not feel that way about it and promptly shot the bear on the spot. So now he says that as soon as that bear came in front of him, he said that he did not find any reason to kill that sloth bear. It means he was not going to kill him, he was not going to fire at that bear. And perhaps as it was harmless, it was not causing any harm to them, and therefore he did not thought it proper to fire at it. But he says that one of his friends, one of the companion who was traveling along with him, he fired at that sloth bear, and the bear was dead at the spot. As we watched the fallen animal, we were surprised to see that the black fur on its back moved and left the prostrate body. Then we saw it was a baby bear that had been riding on its mother's back when the sudden shot had killed her. The little creature ran around its prostrate parent, making a pitiful noise. So now the author says one of his companions has fired at that bear which came suddenly in front of them, and now the bear had fallen there, it's dead. And then he said that there was some movement on the back of the dead bear. There was something on the back of it, and it moved and came down from the back of that dead bear. And when they saw it minutely, they found that it was baby bear, and that baby bear, it was riding on its mother's back. It means the dead bear was his mother. So now as the mother was killed, this baby bear, he was wailing, he was crying, he was making pitiful noise, and he was running here and there. He was moving around The prostrate parent, prostrate here it means the dead body, the body which was lying over there, and he was making pitiful noise. I ran up to it to attempt a creature. It scooted into the sugarcane field. Following it with my companion, I was at last able to grab it by the scruff of its neck, while it snapped and tried to scratch me with its long hooked claws. So now it is being said in this paragraph that the author, he tried to catch that baby bear. So as soon as he ran after it, the baby bear, it ran into the sugarcane field. Here the word scooted has been used and it means ran away. So the baby bear, it ran away into the sugarcane field. The author as well as his companion, the people who were traveling with him, they all chased, followed that baby bear into the sugarcane field, and he said that finally he was able to get hold of that baby bear. Here the word scruff has been used, a scruff of its neck, it means the back portion of neck. So he got hold of the back portion of the neck of that baby bear, and after that when he caught it, he tried to free himself, and in order to do so he scratched the author, but he was not able to make himself free from the grab of author. We put it in one of the gunny bags we had brought, and when I got back to Bangalore, I duly presented it to my wife. She was delighted. She at once put a colored ribbon around its neck, and after discovering the cub was a boy, she christened it Bruno. So now it is being given that they have got hold of that baby bear, they have caught it, and when he returned back to Bangalore where he lived, so it is being said here that as soon as he reached Bangalore where he lived, he presented that baby bear to his wife. He gifted it to his wife, and his wife, as soon as she saw it, she was delighted, she grew happy, she was overexcited to see that baby bear, and she placed a colored ribbon around its neck, and when she discovered that it was a boy, she named it Bruno. So now the name of that baby bear is Bruno. Bruno soon took to drinking milk from bottle. It was but a step further, and within a few days he started eating and drinking everything else. And everything is the right word, for he ate prodigy made from any ingredients, vegetable, fruits, nuts, meats, especially pork, curry, rice, regardless of condiments and chilies, bread, eggs, chocolate, sweets, pudding, ice cream, etc., etc., etc. As for drink, milk, tea, coffee, lime juice, aerated water, buttermilk, beer, alcoholic liquor, and in fact anything liquid, it all went down with relish. So now it is being said in this paragraph that Bruno, that little bear, very soon, within few days, he started eating and drinking everything. Here the word everything is being said by the author, and he says that everything will be the right word, because he says that he ate everything, whatever was provided to him, whether it was liquid, whether it was solid food, everything, whatever came in his way, whatever was gifted to him, whatever was offered to him, he ate everything with great enjoyment. Relish here it means with great enjoyment. So he enjoyed all food, every liquid, whatever was gifted to him, whatever was given to him for eating. The bear became very attached to our two Alsatian dogs and to all the children of the tenants living in our bungalow. He was left quite free in his younger days and spent his time in playing, running into kitchen, and going to sleep in our beds. So now it is being said that this little bear, he became very friendly to the two Alsatian dogs which the author have, and to the children who are living as a tenants in his house. So he used to play all the day, he used to run here and there, he was free to move around the house. He moved into the kitchen, he even went to the bedroom and even slept in the bed of Arthur. One day, an accident befell him. I put down poison, barium carbonate, to kill the rats and mice that had got into my library. Bruno entered the library as he often did and he ate some of the poison. Paralysis set in to the extent that he could not stand on his feet. But he dragged himself on his stumps to my wife, who called me. I guessed what had happened. Off I rushed in the car to the vet's residence. A case of poisoning, tame beer, barium carbonate, what to do. So now in this paragraph the author describes an accident which the Bruno met one day. So he says that his library was attacked by rats and mice, and therefore in order to kill those rats and mice, what he has done, he has placed poison in his library. But what happened? Bruno, he entered into the library and he ate that poison that was barium carbonate, which was for rats and mice. But Bruno, he ate it, and as soon as he ate it, his feet, his body parts were paralyzed. He was not able to stand on his feet, he was not able to move his body. But he managed to drag himself. So by dragging his body, he went to Arthur's wife, and as soon as Arthur's wife saw him, she called the author, and as soon as he saw Bruno, he analyzed, he understood that what has happened. So he took Bruno to veterinary doctor, and there he explained that it was a case of poisoning. He has eaten barium carbonate. Out came his medical books, and a fibrous reference to the index began. What poison did you say, sir? Barium carbonate? Yeah, yes. BA, barium salts? Yeah, barium carbonate. Symptoms, paralysis, treatment, injection of just a minute, sir. I will bring my syringe and the medicine. So as soon as he reached to veterinary doctor, he took out his medical book and he referred there and he saw the treatment for barium carbonate, and then he said that let me bring my syringe and medicine. A dash back to the car. Bruno still floundering about on his stumps but clearly weakening rapidly. Some vomiting, some heavy breathing with heavy flanks and gaping mouth. So here the word floundering is being used. It means he was struggling to move. So the bear, he was struggling to move, he was not able to move his body, he was vomiting, he was breathing heavily, and the mouth was wide open. Hold on everybody, in goes the hypodermic. Bruno sequel 10 cc of antidote enters his system without a drop being wasted. 10 minutes later, condition unchanged. Another 10 cc injected 10 minutes later, breathing less stertorous. Bruno can move his arms and legs a little, though he cannot stand yet. 30 minutes later, Bruno gets up and has a great feed. He looks at us disdainfully, as much as to say, what's barium carbonate to a big black bear like me? Bruno is still eating. So now the doctor, he prepared the antidote and he gave the first dose of antidote. Antidote is the medicine which counters the effect of poison. So he gave the first dose of antidote to Bruno, but it does not bring any changes in the condition of Bruno. So he gave the second dose, and after 10 minutes of second dose, his breathing, which was quite heavy, he was snoring, he was breathing very heavily. So that sound decreased a little bit, and after 30 minutes he was totally fine. He was able to stand on his feet, his body parts were moving now, and after 30 minutes he enjoyed the great food. And he gave a look to the author as if he were saying that this barium carbonate can't harm him, cannot affect his body, and now he is still enjoying his food. Another time he found nearly 1 gallon of old engine oil which I had drained from the sump of Studebaker, and was keeping as a weapon against inroad of termites. He promptly drank the lot, but it had no ill effects whatever. So another mischievous activity, another accident is being described here, that once what he did, he drank the old engine oil which was kept in a gallon to treat or in order to get rid of termites, but this time it does not harm him. There was no effect of drinking that old engine oil. The months rolled on. Bruno had grown many times the size he was when he came. He has equaled the Alsatian in height and had even outgrown them, but was just as sweet, just as mischievous, just as playful. And he was very fond of us all. Above all, he loved my wife and she loved him. She has changed his name from Bruno to Baba, a Hindustani word signifying a small boy. So now it is being said in this part that the Bruno, in very few months, he has grown up both in height and weight. His size has multiplied, and now he has started playing out different games, different activities. He was playful, he was mischievous, but he was sweet as well. And he says that his wife loves him a lot, and even he, Bruno, loves his wife, loves author's wife a lot. And now author's wife has given him a new name, that is Baba, which means a small boy in Hindi. And he could do a few tricks too. At the command Baba wrestle or Baba box, he vigorously tackled anyone who came forward for a rough and tumble. Give him a stick and say, Baba hold gun, and he pointed the stick at you. Ask him, Baba where's baby? And he immediately produced and cradled affectionately a stump of wood which he had carefully concealed in his straw bit. But because of the teenage children, poor Bruno or Baba had to be kept chained most of the time. So now it is being said in this part that as he has grown up, he has learned many tricks, many activities. And here 3 activities is being described. That is, whenever he was given a command that Baba wrestle, then he was ready to tackle, to deal with anyone whosoever come forward to have a fight with him. And then second activity which is being given over here, that is Baba hold gun. So whenever he was given a command to hold a gun, he used to point the stick which he had with him as a gun. He used to make that stick a gun and he used to point it out to the person whosoever has asked him to point out the gun. And the third activity is, whenever he was given a command, Baba where's baby, as soon as this command was given to him, he used to take out the stump of wood which was always there hiding in his straw bit. He used to take out that and he used to keep that stump of wood in his lap, and he used to cradle that stump of wood as if it were any child or if it were any baby. But now as he has grown up, most of the time the Bruno was tied now. It was now chained because there were children in the house, and therefore most of that time Now he was being chained. Then my son and I advised my wife, and friends advised her too, to give Baba to Jew at Mysore. He was getting too big to keep at home. After some weeks of such advice, she at last consented. Hastily, and before she could change her mind, a letter was written to the curator of the Jew. Did he want a tame bear for his collection? He replied, yes. The Jew sent a cage from Mysore in a lorry, a distance of 87 miles, and Baba was packed off. So now, as Bruno, Baba, the bear, he has outgrown in size, and therefore the author says that it was not possible to keep him anymore at home, and therefore his son, as well he himself, advised his wife to send Bruno to the Jew at Mysore. And at last even she agreed, and as soon as she agreed, the author wrote a letter to the Jew asking the in charge of the Jew that whether they want the tame bear for his collection, and the reply came in positive. The reply came that yes, and a cage was sent in lorry from Mysore to take Bruno to that Jew. We all missed him greatly, but in sense we were relieved. My wife was inconsolable. She wept and fretted. For the first few days she could not eat a thing. Then she wrote a number of letters to the curator. How was Baba? Back came the replies, well but fretting. He refuses food too. So now it is being said, the author says that when Baba was not at home, when he was sent to the Jew, all of them missed him a lot. But his wife, she wept continuously, she was not happy, and he says that it was not possible for him to comfort her. She was continuously weeping, and she was unhappy, and she did not even eat food for some days. And then she started writing letter to the in charge of the Jew, and in reply it came that Baba was right, he was all right, but even he was fretting, even he was not relaxed, even he was unhappy, and even he had stopped eating food. So both of them were suffering for each other. After that, friends visiting Mysore were begged to make a point of going to the Jew and seeing how Baba was getting along. They reported that he was well but looked very thin and sad. All the keepers at Jew said he was fretting. For 3 months I managed to restrain my wife from visiting Mysore. Then she said one day, I must see Baba. Either you take me by car or I will go myself by bus or train. So I took her by car. So now his wife, author's wife, whenever she found anyone, whosoever were visiting to Mysore, she used to make request to that person to pay a visit to Baba at the Jew. So whosoever went there, all of them paid a visit to Baba, and the response was same. All of them said same thing to author's wife. They used to say her that he was good, but he was getting thinner and he looks like sad. And all the staff of that Jew, they said that he was unhappy, was not relaxed, and he had avoided, he had stopped taking food as well. So now the author here says that he has somehow restrained his wife from visiting Mysore for 3 months. But one day she said that I must see Baba, and she requested him to take her by car, or she said that she will visit herself. If he will not take her by car, then she says that she will go there by bus or by train. So they went there by car. So the author, he was not able to keep his wife away from Bruno. She kept herself away from Bruno for 3 months, but after that she was not able to stop herself from seeing Bruno. So they went there. Now let's see what happened then. Friends had conjectured that the bear would not recognize her. I had thought so too, but while she was yet some yard from his cage, Baba saw her and recognized her. He howled with happiness. She ran up to him, petted him through the bars, and he stood on his head in delight. So now it is being said in this paragraph that his friend, author's friend, as well as he himself, has guessed that Bruno will not be able to identify her. But when they visited Jew, it was totally different from what they had expected. When they were at a distance from the cage in which Bruno was kept, from a distance only he identified the lady, the author's wife, and he started crying, he started shouting in a doleful noise with happiness, and he became very much happy. He even stood on his head to show his happiness to see author's wife. For the next 3 hours, she would not leave that cage. She gave him tea, lemonade, cakes, ice cream, and what not. Then closing time came. We had to leave. My wife cried bitterly. Baba cried bitterly. Even the hardened curator and the keepers felt depressed. As for me, I have reconciled myself to what I knew was going to happen next. So now he says that she sat out of the cage for 3 hours in which Bruno was kept, and she gave him a number of eatables which she was carrying for him, which she carried for him. And when it was closing time, both of them, Bruno as well as author's wife, both of them cried bitterly. Oh, please, sir, she asked the curator, may I have my Baba back? Hesitantly he answered, Madam, he belongs to the Jew and is government property now. I cannot give away government property. But if my boss, the superintendent at Bangalore, agrees, certainly you may have him back. So as she was not able to keep herself away from Bruno, she at last asked to the in charge of that Jew that can I take Bruno back? And he replied that now the Bruno is a property of government, it's government property, and therefore he cannot return it to author's wife. And then he said that if the superintendent who lives at Bangalore, if he agrees, then definitely Bruno will be returned to her. There followed the return journey to Bangalore and a visit to the superintendent's bungalow. A tearful pleading, Baba and I are both fretting for each other. Will you please give him back to me? He was kind-hearted man and consented. Not only that, but he wrote to the curator telling him to lend us a case for transporting the beer to Bangalore. Back we went to Mysore again, armed with superintendent's letter. Baba was driven into a small cage and hoisted on the top of the car. The cage was tied securely and a slow and careful return journey to Bangalore was accomplished. So now it is being said that as soon as they returned back to Bangalore, they went to the house of superintendents of that Jew, and there the lady, the author's wife, she pleaded, she requested him that both of them can't live without each other, and both of us are lamenting and longing to see each other, therefore please return me Bruno. So this person, the superintendent of that Jew, he was kind-hearted man, and he agreed, and he wrote a letter to the curator, the in charge of the Jew, asking him to return Bruno to them and also he has asked him to lend them a cage in which Bruno can be transported back to Bangalore. So with that later they went to the zoo, and from there they got Bruno. They kept the cage in which Bruno was there on the top of their car, and after driving, they returned back to Bangalore. Once home, a squad of police were engaged for a special work in our compound. An island was made for Baba. It was 20 feet long and 15 feet wide, and was surrounded by a dry pit or moat 6 feet wide and 7 feet deep. A wooden box that once housed fowls was brought and put on the island for Baba to sleep in at night. A straw was placed inside to keep him warm and his baby, the granuled stump along with his gun, the piece of bamboo, both of which had been sentimentally preserved since he had been sent away to the zoo, were put back for him to play with. So now it is being said that he has returned back to Bangalore. Bruno has now arrived in Bangalore. They have brought Bruno back to Bangalore to their home, and he said that as soon as he came back to their home, the author has now started making a special arrangement to keep him at home. So what was done? A special island was erected for him, which was 20 feet long and 15 feet wide, and around that island a pit was dug, which was 6 feet wide and 7 feet deep, and a wooden box was kept on that island, and some straw was placed inside that wooden box so that Bruno may keep himself warm. And his toys, that was garnered stump to which he used to treat as a baby, and the stick which he has made himself, which he treated as a gun, that two toys were again placed on that island on which he may play with that. In a few days the coolies hoisted the cage onto the island and Baba was released. He was delighted. Standing on his hind leg, he pointed his gun and cradled his baby. My wife spent hours sitting on a chair there while he sat on her lap. He was 15 months old and pretty heavy too. So now he said that once when the island was prepared, Bruno was freed from the cage in which he was kept for many days, and now he became very happy. Now he is just standing on his hind leg and he started playing with the toys which belongs to him. He has started pointing out that stick as a gun, and he cradled the baby, the stump of wood which he used to treat as a baby. Once again he placed it in his lap, and he says, the author says, that his wife, she used to spend many hours sitting on a chair on that island, and that Bruno used to sit in her lap. And now the Bruno is 15 months old and has gained weight as well. The way my wife reaches the island and leaves it is interesting. I have tied a rope to the overhanging branch of a mango tree with a loop at its end. Putting one foot in the loop, she kicks off with the other to the breach, the gap that constitute the width of surrounding pit. The return journey is made the same way, but who can say now that a sloth bear has no sense of affection, no memory, no individual characteristics. So now it is being said in this paragraph that as there was a pit surrounding that island which was 6 feet wide and 7 feet deep, so in order to cross that 6 feet wide gap, the author has made a special arrangement for his wife. So what he has done, he has tied a rope to the mango branch, to the branch of mango tree which was over there, and on the other end of that rope of that rope, a loop was made, a hole was made in which she used to place her one leg, and with her another leg she used to kick the ground, and like a swing she used to sway away on the other side of that wide 6 feet wide gap. So this is how she even used to return back from that island. So this is how, by swing, like a swing, she used to go to the island and she used to return back again from that island. And at the end, the author says, by experiencing all these things, who can say that these animals do not have any sense of love, affection, they don't have any memory or any individual characteristics. So this is all about this chapter. We saw that how Bruno were affectionately attached toward author's wife, and even she was attached toward him, as so that the both of them were not able to survive, they were not able to live without seeing each other. This is all about this chapter. Thank you.